Welcome to the Michael Blum Show, where we talk about things you don't want to talk about. We talk about sex. We talk about politics. We talk spirituality and substance abuse. Join us by calling 800-699-0980. Think, speak, and be heard. Here now is Michael Blum.
Blum Show. I have not been doing this a live broadcast for a little while. It's kind of crazy, but that's how it's been. Just kind of busy. I was busy last week. I had some interesting stuff going on in my life. I think some of you may may appreciate it as well. I had a very interesting Father's Day. You see, I had my father's around. He's 90 years old, and I went to pick him up on Father's Day. Oh, I should preface this by saying he did have some surgery to place a pacemaker maybe 2-3 weeks ago. And Father's Day I went to pick him up, and he collapsed outside. Luckily, my mother yelled for me. I grabbed him. He fell on top of me, and my mother fell on top of all of us. So there the three of us are laying on the floor. And as soon as my father laid on the floor, I guess he stabilized, and he said, "What happened?" We said, "You fainted." Because where am I? We said, "On the floor." And he started to laugh. The three of us now are laughing as I'm calling 911 because we're all three of us laying on the floor. Anyway, there was some issue with the pacemaker, and that's what caused the issue. But I got to tell you, I'm so happy to have my father around. Now, I don't know if you folks out there have fathers or know people who are fatherless, and to me, it's a very, very sad thing because I know what kind of happens with children that are fatherless. I taught school for the New York City Board of Education for about 7 years, and I have to tell you that a lot of the kids that I taught did not have fathers at home. And you could see certain things that are kind of clear and obvious. I mean, if I always found that the children that did not have fathers in their houses, the girls basically didn't know how to react to boys and thought that they had to give themselves away, and that was the way that you go ahead and you attract boys. They didn't have any kind of like really self-acknowledgement. You know, it's so important when people yell, "Daddy, look at me. Daddy, look at me. Daddy, look at me." They want some recognition. Kids need it, and they need it from a mother and a father. You know, being a father is not as organic as being a mother. That's just how it is. I mean, being a father is a lot different. It's an emotional, heavy-duty bond, but the physicality of it all is really with the women. As a doctor, I have seen people die, unfortunately, in hospitals, and a lot of them, they yell for their mother. They yell for their mom before they're going to go. They don't yell for their dad, but they do yell for their mother. So I understand that there are some ingrained differences that maybe are tough to understand or can't be explained or could only be explained by advanced biology. But basically, I see issues with kids that don't have a father figure or any male figure taking care of them. So I get concerned. I love kids, you know. I mean, save the children. You're hearing the Democrats scream about that quite regularly now due to the news cycle. But you have to do it on a little bit more local of a level, and if you really want to save children. And I'm not talking about saving illegal alien children or anything. I'm talking about saving everyone's kid, and the fact that every kid needs a father image or something to go on. And statistics back me up with that. I always found that the men, the males, the boys that were in my classes were way, way more aggressive. You know, they figured at the time, I'll date myself, but Rambo, you know what I mean? Rambo was the thing. That's how they would act. They thought that being macho, being mean, being sarcastic, many of them, that was basically what they figured a man is like. And they have absolutely no experience with anything else other than that. And it's rather sad. Rather sad all around. But that's how it is. That's how it is quite often. And I don't know if there's a lot of things we can do about it, but there probably are some. So I want you to watch a video here that I found, because I think it'll explain to you the gravity of the situation of not being with a father. And by the way, if you'd like to call me up, you can. The number tonight is 800-699-0980. 800-699-0980.
Nearly 40% of all children in the United States are born out of wedlock.
Nearly 35% of Caucasian children are born out of wedlock.
More than half of all Hispanic children in the U.S. are born out of wedlock.
More than 70% of all African American children are born out of wedlock.
One out of 3 children in America live in homes without their biological fathers. This means 24 million kids are growing up in homes without their dads.
Children who grow up in fatherless homes are 5 times as likely to be poor.
Fatherless boys and girls are 2 times as likely to drop out of high school, 2 times as likely to end up in jail, and 4 times as likely to have emotional and behavioral problems.
71% of pregnant teenagers grow up without a father.
71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes.
70% of juveniles in state reform institutions grew up in single-parent homes or without parents.
Children who grew up in fatherless homes are twice as likely to abuse alcohol or illegal drugs.
63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes.
For all the sons and daughters who are walking in the darkness, you are calling us to lead them back to you.
Will you make a difference?
Will you make a difference?
Will you make a difference?
So that I can live a better life.
Will you make a difference?
Will you make a difference?
So I don't become a parent before I'm ready.
You can make a difference.
So that I don't have to give myself away to feel loved.
You can make a difference.
So I don't have to get high to numb the pain.
You can make a difference.
You can make a difference.
You can make a difference.
So I don't look to gangs to be my family.
You can make a difference.
You can make a difference.
So that I don't have to learn what it means to be a man from the streets.
You can make a difference. You can make a difference.
You can make a difference.
So that I can experience the love of Christ. Fix these words of mine in your hearts and minds.
Teach them to your children.
Talking about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road.
When you lie down and when you get up.
Deuteronomy 11, 18, and 19.
Well, you can help. That was from the GRIP. It's a GRIP, GRIP Outreach for Youth. If you want to get involved, you can certainly contact them. They're big brother societies. Kids need our help. Kids really do need our help, and particularly those that don't have fathers Or, you know, kids need help in general. The purpose of this right now, I'm relating it to Father's Day, but basically all kids need our help, and we should go ahead and try to support these groups so that these kids have some inkling of what it is truly like to be a man in this society. I mean, with all the nonsense and bullshit you hear from universities, a toxic masculinity, you know, no toxic femininity, I guess, and I guess there's no way to remove the toxins, and so you got to be careful. You don't want your kids being taught how inferior or how terrible they are just because they are who they are. And unfortunately, that is going on in schools. We've had plenty of prior shows that talked about that before. But everyone celebrates a little bit differently, I guess. So, yeah, I found a very interesting article. This is a CNN. In recognition of Father's Day, they have an article here. And basically, it's the story of a woman who identifies as a man, who gave birth and breastfed her child before she decided to go ahead and change and mutilate her body and remove her breasts. So he gave birth. This is what they say. This is directly from CNN. He gave birth. He breastfed. Now he wants his son to see him as a man. Well, you know, you're going to have one screwed up kid there. That's what I think is going to happen there. It's kind of crazy. So to recap, and this is the relationship. This guy's name is Sebastian Sparks is the name of the father. Woman, father, okay? Father with the vagina. To recap, so anyway, a man who believes he's a woman married a woman who believes she's a man. And the story goes on from there. What a good society we would have with that. You know, I mean, everything should be broken up. Now, you know, people have the right to do whatever they want. I don't really care about that. But if you start to drag children into it, it does become quite an issue. And it's so funny because they say that there was, just to go on a little bit, that basically that this man who gave birth and breastfed as a quote unquote man, who now removed his breasts and now wants everyone to consider him a man, yet even more, I guess, said basically that he was assigned a female gender at birth, you know. So obviously God checked the wrong frickin' box, and it was supposed to be male, and it was female. So, you know, I wonder, when a baby is born, do these people that have this kind of mentality yell, "Oh, it's not a boy or a girl, it's nothing. It's just nothing. It's just been assigned a male or a female gender at birth." Makes sense, doesn't it? Quite normal, isn't it? This is how most people would think. This is abnormal to me. So, to me, this is how abnormal people think. But, God forbid you use that word abnormal. You're not allowed to do that, you know. It's kind of crazy, but anyway. So, you know, it's funny, too, to me, because when libs want to be so scientific, they, you know, they're talking about the global warming, global cooling, climate. They leave out a whole bunch of stuff, but we're scientific. If you don't believe in what we're just saying, then you don't believe in science. You know? I laugh at that. I gotta laugh at that when I see this stuff like this, you know? Because this is deviance. You know, when pigs fly, apples can become bananas, and the phrase, he gave birth, if you think that's kind of a normal thing, or he was breastfeeding, well, you're wrong. It isn't normal. It's abnormal. A very, very small amount. And when I say abnormal, I don't mean anything degrading. I just mean this is not how society is. We bend over backwards for quite a small amount of people, to be quite honest. A very, very small amount of people. And I don't want to hear any of the libs ever lecturing me about science if they think he gave birth. It makes a hell of a lot of sense to them, you know? I don't have kids that are really young. I have some older kids that are grown up, but I do have a grandson, and boy, you know, I want him to see me as Superman, and that I'm flying, and I can go faster than a speeding bullet, and I can leap over tall buildings. I think they missed the point of Father's Day here. I don't know what kind of day this is, but it's, to me, not really Father's Day. If you want to talk about Father's Day, this is something I think that's a little bit more appropriate.
This is slightly intimidating.
Dad, what about me makes you proud?
Oh, man.
Dad, what about me makes you proud?
Dad,
What about me makes you proud?
Oh, man. Dad, what about me makes you proud?
And I have to answer that one?
Yes.
Just about everything that you do.
You're loving. You're funny. I could go on and on.
What makes me proud about you is you just being yourself.
I had trouble with alcohol. There's actually an intervention. Even with all the other people there, you were the real reason that I made the decision to go into the treatment center that I did. And thank you.
Thank you. You're helpful. Yeah, you forgot the funny part.
Your attention to hygiene.
Dad, I'm grateful to you for choosing to stay when I was little. Why am I crying?
At the time when I'm graduating and I'm packing up and leaving, then it's really gonna hit me. And
I think about a time when if you're not around, like that would be awful. But like you're the person that would always laugh.
Dad, I'm grateful because we didn't know how long you were going to be with us, so we're so happy that you're still here. Dad, I'm proud of you for knowing that the most important thing was to just give your kids so much time.
I've always been impressed by you. You made it easy.
Thanks.
I miss having the chance to just check in with you. I miss your sketchbooks.
I love you. I love you too. We don't say it enough.
Hey.
I love you, Dad.
It doesn't compute until they're gone. So tell them now.
It's sort of weird standing so close to you.
Well, I don't mean to depress people that don't have fathers, but that's kind of what it's like to have one, or to be one. And again, this could be any male figure at all, to go ahead and do these things, work with any of the organizations that provide assistance to kids. Girls need dads, boys need dads, everyone needs a dad, somebody to give them some type of guidance as to what they need to do with their lives. I do have a guest that I'm supposed to be calling. I'm maybe calling a couple of minutes, but I would like to finish this dad train of thought with everyone out there. And this is basically an article I found. It's written by Stuart Epperson, and I'm going to go through parts of it. You know, it's a prison full of young men who have fathers, but you can't ever find them. They're not there. These fathers are absent. And this guy was in a prison, basically, and he knows that it's an emotional bond with a father more than a physical one. But in the prison, when he was there and they asked about who would like to write some Mother's Day cards, there were tons of the prisoners wanted to write Mother's Day cards. And when Father's Day came around, basically, dead silence. No one wanted a card because the truth, because basically being responsible and caring for someone, a male, they never had that. They never had that. This guy also had a friend who was a Winston-Salem community leader, and he said he used to help these kids out. They would come and they'd play ball with them and do all sorts of stuff. And he said that he knew of someone basically who was a single mother of 6, and she was tragically killed in a car accident. And a friend of his and his wife invited this girl, who was a senior, to live with them, with their 4 children. And she had to adjust to her new family because she was fatherless. And so now she had a father who demonstrated the same love for her as he did for the rest of his children. She learned that she could count on him, and he could give advice. And it was a very, very big growing experience because that piece of her life was never there. And as the first video I talked about says, incarceration rates increase, suicide rates, behavioral disorder rates, juvenile detention rates. I'm not going to go through all of those again, but basically the importance of dads is absolutely amazing. I have just one other small little video I want to play, and then I'm going to get to the phones.
You love that woman right there? You love her, right? Yes, sir? Yes, sir. Now, you're not an adult till you're 18. Do you want me to be your daddy for the next 8 years, son? Huh?
Yes, sir.
You do? Why you want me to be your daddy?
I have no daddy.
You have no daddy? Well, let me tell you something. Come here, give me a hug.
The idea there was supposed to be a boot camp for kids, and he's supposed to frighten the kids so much, this staff sergeant. And at the end, when he asks him, would you like me, assuming a rough, gruff, mean guy like me is your daddy, he wants one. All kids want a mommy and a daddy. Don't think it's otherwise. That's what most kids want. Anyway, now, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to see if we can get our guest on the line. And we'll talk to him a little bit.
You have reached Mike Vini.
Oh, man.
Please leave a message, and I will return your call as soon as I can. For a faster response, please email me. My email address is mike@unleashyourgroove.com. Again, my email address is mike@unleashyourgroove.com. I look forward to your email.
Hey, Mike, it's me. I thought we were going to be on the air today, but I'm just getting your messaging rather than you. That's too bad because I was looking forward to the interview. I finally got the right number, and you're not there anyway. So anyway, have a good evening. Well, that's how it goes sometimes in the big world here. We're going to have an interesting conversation with Mike, but I guess that is just not going to happen today. It's just not going to be. So what we're going to do instead is I'm going to take a very quick break. I have been talking here almost 25 minutes, and we'll come back in a little bit. And you're listening to The Michael Blum Show. Please stay tuned for more stuff we have coming your way. You will not regret it.
Hi. At The Michael Blum Show, we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. If in your own personal life you have an experience or an event or something that's changed you, we'd love to hear about it and maybe get your story on air. Feel free to give us a call, 800-699-0980. Again, that's at 800-699-0980. Or feel free to email me at michael@blumradio.com. That's Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, at blumradio, B-L-U-M radio.com. And we will get in touch with you and put your story on the air.
Hey.
Hi, I'm running a couple of commercials, and I'll get you on in a minute.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's no problem.
This is Steve Kane, and I'm here with Dr. Jonathan Cook from JJ Dental. Jonathan, what are some of your most popular services that you perform over at JJ Dental?
Well, I would say cosmetic dentistry is number one. That's our major focus. But one of the beautiful things about our practice is there's nothing that we don't do under our roof. The days of patients bouncing around town to find different specialists are over, and there's nothing that we can't do at our office. So we have specialists that come into our office to provide the patients with the proper services. So aside from cosmetic dentistry, we also have endodontics. We do root canals, implants, veneers, crowns, bridges, Invisalign. You name it, there's not much that we don't do.
For all your dental needs, call Dr. Jonathan Cook at JJ Dental. Phone number 954-463-7262. And online at jjdentalpractice.com.
Hi, this is Michael Blum. Did you know The Michael Blum Show can be heard every Monday night from 9 to 11 p.m.? We also broadcast 24/7 from our website, michaelblumshow.com. That's michaelblumshow.com. You can be anonymous, so call us and let your voice be heard. Hi, this is Dr. Michael Blum. I just moved my practice down the block to my new office at JJ Dental, just 4 blocks south of my old office. I chose JJ Dental because it's a 5-star rated practice. That's why you should choose them too. Call 954-463-7262 and ask for an appointment with me, Dr. Blum, or any other of the fine dentists at JJ Dental, creating beautiful, healthy smiles that last a lifetime. Call 954-463-7262 and visit us online at jjdentalpractice.com. Hi, this is Michael Blum. Join me on Mondays from 9 to 11 p.m. for The Michael Blum Show, where we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. We talk about sex, substance abuse, spirituality, and politics. Think, speak, and be heard. Join us on The Michael Blum Show.
This is Steve Kane. I'm in studio today with Dr. Jonathan Cook of JJ Dental. Dr. Cook, what are people looking for when they choose a dentist?
A bunch of things. I would say, number one, first and foremost, they're looking for somebody who they get a sense that they care. And, I know for me, that would be number one. Also, obviously, convenience. Location is an important factor. Most people aren't driving miles and miles in their car to get to whoever it is that they need to see, whether it's a dentist or a doctor or whoever. But we're in downtown Fort Lauderdale. A very convenient location.
You don't waste their time. Is the feeling I get?
No. We want to make it very easy for patients in and out.
What is that line? Just because they call it a waiting room doesn't mean you have to spend your whole day waiting.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Precisely.
Call Dr. Cook at JJ Dental for an appointment. The number 954 area code 463-7262 or online at jjdentalpractice.com. This is Steve Kane with Dr. Jonathan Cook from JJ Dental. Jonathan, I was just blown away by the reviews that your patients left online.
Yeah, sure. My website and Yelp, Google Places, Facebook, you name it. There's plenty of places to go to find 5-star reviews and read what our patients are saying about us.
You heard Dr. Cook. Go online, read his reviews. You'll be blown away too. And then call for an appointment, 954-463-7262 or online at jjdentalpractice.com.
Well, sorry for that noise. I didn't mean to create such noise there. I just wanted to play a bumper, and it seems not to be looping the way I wanted to. But anyway, that's not a big deal. Anyway, folks, we do have our guest online. You still with me, Mike?
I am with you. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. How about can you hear me fine?
You are loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Excellent. I'm just going to knock that up a little bit. I want to hear you a little better. All right, cool. Well, folks, I'm very, very happy and proud to have Mike Vini on the air with us. He is basically an experienced pro. He's a member of the National Speakers Association. He has done hundreds and hundreds of keynote presentations for corporate drumming events. You heard me right, folks. Drumming events. What that is, we're going to get into. We'll find out what that is. He's also the CEO of Mike Vini Incorporated. It's dedicated to helping people heal emotional pain and discover meaning through simple ideas that empower wellness and healthy relationships. So welcome to the show. Did I get that all right?
You got that all right. I think you need to introduce me every single time, and thank you so much for having me on the show.
No problem at all. No problem. When your publicist sent me some information, I said, well, I was into drugs when I was a kid. Now I'm not. I'm a doctor, and I can't afford to do that. Not that I would, but my sister-in-law is an alcoholic, and I owned a halfway house for a while, and so I have some feeling for people that have these problems. And when I saw that coupled with music, I said, got my guy here. This is the one.
Yeah. No, I'm the one, and so, I'm really glad to be here today.
I understand that you have a new book out, and I want to talk to you about that, but I figured I'd tell you a joke first. It's a musician's joke. I'm sure you'll get it. You may have heard it. You may not have. But the joke is, what do you call a guy who hangs around with musicians?
A drummer.
You go. There you go. So I got to tell you, musicians joke now. Maybe and no one in the audience will get this, but I don't really care. So what was it? The other one is why can't gorillas play trumpet?
Oh, I don't know this one.
They're too sensitive.
I don't get it.
If you've ever worked with a lot of trumpet players, they tend to be really aggressive guys, and they're not as gentle as one would really like. Then there's there's a couple of others. Let's see, what's the difference between a club date band and a bull?
I don't know.
With a bull, the horns are in the front and the ass is in the back.
I have never heard these ones before in all my life of playing music. So thank you for.
Yeah, this is another one, but it's too filthy. I can't get to it today. Though we are internet only, but I still have some modicum of respect for myself and my language abilities. I assume that when you were a kid, you didn't you weren't like in the 4th grade or 5th grade and said, I'm going to be a motivational speaker, and I'm going to do this by helping corporations out drumming stuff. So
no, I didn't start out like that. I started out as a kid with behavior problems, major behavior problems, and these problems led to me getting expelled from 3 schools and hospitalized in a mental hospital 3 times, and I even had a suicide attempt at age 10. And drumming was one of the things that really turned my life around. It was actually the best medication for my mental health challenges.
So you attribute music to a heck of a lot. I think my musical experiences when I was a kid is I had always played with bands, and I'm talking about 4th grade, 5th grade stuff. And you play your scales and all that, and it's not really exciting. And I was asked to come to one day to the 6th grade orchestra. And that's what did it for me. I sat there, and it's the first time I heard really harmony and counterpoint, as well as a 6th grade orchestra can do. But I was overwhelmed. I remember my heart beating out of my chest. I couldn't believe that there was such beauty and joy, and it really took me aback, and I wound up pursuing it professionally. My undergraduate degrees in music, I did play professionally for many, many years with a couple of bands you may have heard of as a sideman, not with them on tour or anything. But I did work with the Four Tops and Spinners and a couple of other groups, and so music has always been always very, very good to me. How did you first realize, or what was the first step for you that you took with music to go ahead and help you out of your rut or where you were?
Well, I share something with you. I was in the 4th grade, and I got to hear the concert band play for the Christmas show, the holiday concert. And, we all went down as a class to go watch the concert, and it was the first time I really heard a bass drum up close. And like you, I was overwhelmed by the sound, the harmonies, like everything. It was just, it changed my whole mood. And I felt it transform me physically. And, I begged my parents to play drums. And as you know, most parents do not want their kids playing drums. And, I finally got, into the drum class. They let me do it. And the moment I hit a snare drum for the first time, I just knew that was home for me. That was home. That felt right. And it really changed me.
Yeah, I mean, people who are not musicians or don't have that, I guess, that set of neurons in the head that works like a musician's head would work, sometimes really don't understand the all-encompassing feeling you get from this. And it's such a beautiful art. I mean, it's a difficult one. It's the most ethereal, I think, of the arts. Dance, at least, is something to look at. Broadway, you have a show, you can see it, you hear it, and all of that. Music is one of the few things you can actually still close your eyes, hopefully not fall asleep, and still enjoy it because it all manifests somewhere up in your head.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And one of the things that I've learned is that music, for many of us, we say it's the soundtrack of our lives. But, I hear a song on the radio, and I can go back to a memory that I hadn't thought about in the longest time, and knowing even today that certain songs I'm listening to these days are going to be a memory in the future. So I think it's a really powerful thing, and it brings people together. And that's why I do it on the corporate level, because, drumming taught me the art of learning to work with other people, which is something we all need to work on. And
tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, adults just cannot play well with each other in the sandbox.
They're not nice, not playing nice at all.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's work, the country as a whole, it doesn't matter. We can't play well together. And so what I've been able to do is take my childlike spirit and my drumming ability and work with corporate America and develop training programs that, allow staff to learn how to work together through games. And it's like, basically we go to kindergarten, that's really it, and have fun. And if you think about it in life, a lot of people never have fun. Like they associate fun with immaturity, and there's a difference. And so I teach adults to be playful in a healthy way, and that actually builds trust with people. That really builds trust, which is why it was great that you told me some jokes. No one's ever done that when I get on the air. Like that was a good thing to do. Builds a playful spirit. So that's what I do with the drumming.
What we try to do here is since I've been doing this a bit by myself, I don't really have a sidekick or anything. I used to really, the nature of the show was we talked about things you didn't really want to hear about. So we would talk about intimate things in terms of personal relationships and sexual things. We talked about substance abuse and getting stoned and what that was like and things like that.
Nice.
And we would also do some politics from time to time. My show's become a little bit more politicky because to be quite honest, it's pretty easy to do by yourself. If I start to talk about sex by myself, I listen to one of my broadcasts and I kind of sound like a pervert. You need you need someone else there to be rifling these things against, so you get some type of communication. Otherwise, you just sound like you should be sniveling and stuff like that. But I'm curious just how this whole process though really works with you. I mean. Does like someone from a corporation call you up and say we need to teach our staff how to play better, and we can do that with you? I mean, how do you get your leads? I guess that's
how do I get my leads? Great question. I mean, I'm working on Thursday with a company actually, and she reached out to me and just said, I'm really having trouble with my staff. They're just fighting with each other, and there's a lot of animosity, and we need something to lighten up the energy and give them something different on working together that's not a PowerPoint. So a lot of times I'm the alternative to a training that's boring with PowerPoint, which everyone is used to going to those in the corporate world. So I bring an engaging presentation where people have to play. Like everyone's sitting in a circle, there's no PowerPoint, there's beach balls, there's stuff like that. We're having fun. So it's like a little party. And that's what people notice. So a lot of times people Google me, they'll Google my name, word of mouth. I am represented by a speakers bureau. Sometimes they book me work. So it totally varies.
It's such a cool thing to do. And I understand you do this a lot, and you're having people in a corporate situation, they try to go ahead and get better. I have a friend who does this, who does percussion parties for kids, which was pretty cool.
Oh, okay, cool.
So again, I'll talk about some things maybe the audience might not know, but that's too bad. Look it up. He'll bring a vibra slap and Chinese bell trees and lions roar and sirens and all sorts of crazy stuff. And the kids just have an amazing time of it. It's a little bit different than your usual, the clown at the party or just something like that. Music is an unbelievable thing, folks. Music can really transform you, can transform an individual, can transform a nation. I was talking to some people the other day, and I really expressed the desire that I think that maybe the national anthem, we should change it to something like Jungle Boogie from Kool and the Gang. That's because I would really like to see, first of all, at a ball game, everyone going Jungle Boogie. I think it would just be really, really cool. And who's going to put a knee down to that? You can't do it. You can't. It's you can't do that. Kool and the Gang. I loved Kool and the Gang. Anyway, you also have done some work with substance abuse.
Well, mainly it's mental health and some substance abuse, which it's funny nowadays. You find them being talked about in the same conversation nowadays. In the past, it was just like addiction or mental health stuff. Now it's sometimes one and the same. And so I've been struggling with mental health challenges my entire life. And I told you all about my behavior, but when we talk about the term mental health, we're talking about three things: thoughts, feelings, and behavior. And if any one of those is having a challenge, you're probably having a mental health challenge. And I battled depression anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder. And again, this led to me getting hospitalized as both a child and an adult. And I talk to people about transforming the stigma around it, because it's the subject nobody wants to talk about, but it's becoming so much more popular in our culture because of the recent suicides of Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain. And also, when there's a mass shooting, people seem to go right to the subject of mental health. Not that I believe that mental health is the cause of all mass shootings, but it's an interesting subject that we need to explore, because everyone either struggles with it or knows someone who does. And so that's why I talk about it, because it needs to become a normal, everyday conversation.
Sure. I mean, you shake a family tree and somebody who has an addiction problem falls out of it all the time. It's unfortunately something that we do really have to contend with, because it's becoming so much more prevalent. And having dealt with some people that are very, very, very well ensconced into their habits, I kind of have a feel for habitual behavior. Not that I do it, but I see it. Like the new addiction I see is, give you for instance, I went out to get a little sushi with my wife like a week or two ago, and the table next to us has 4 kids in it. You know, kids, I'm talking about maybe 18 to 22, 23. Each kid is looking at a device screen.
Yep.
And the feeling I get is that they would panic and go into a tizzy if they lost their phone or something.
Absolutely. I have seen it happen. I mean, I've seen couples on dates where both are sitting at the table looking at the phone. And, you know, one of the things I learned, I recently read a book, The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown. And it was a powerful book, really read it to help me with vulnerability. And one of the things I learned from her is that we are amazing at detaching and disengaging, because we don't like to show up for our feelings. You know, a great way to avoid your own feelings is to do something with substance abuse, or do something that's addictive, or use a phone, or habitual, because that takes us away from, you know, the uncomfortable feelings that we have. And if you think about life, you know, we have uncomfortable feelings. We think we need to go to a therapist and get medication. That's what a lot of people do. But rarely do we sit there and say, you know what, I need to sit with these feelings and discover what's going on here. Well, and that's one of the issues.
That goes into like talking about the things you don't want to talk about. I always felt that if you could really truly address that, those probably are the things specifically you should be talking about.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
It's those ones that seem unconscionable to yourself, or how did I get into this position, or all of those things, because people tend to feel that they're alone with all of it, and there's unfortunately a world's plethora of people that are experiencing the same thing you are. You're usually not alone. I think that's ego. You know, everyone wants to be unique, even in their addiction. You know, I'm so this way and that way. No one's going to help me, and it gets to be very, very difficult. What kind of degrees do you have that would enable you to be a mental health counselor?
Well, I'm not a counselor. Let me just make that very clear. So I'm not a counselor. Okay. I'm just a speaker on the subject. So I don't have any degree in it. What actually happened? You'll appreciate this. I had a breakdown in 2011, and it was a really rough breakdown. It was going on several months, to the point where I was screaming at people on the streets, just angry, cursing. I was that person on the streets, if you can picture that.
No, I can. I'm from New York.
You know. Oh, you're from New York, so you totally get it. And so I called someone I knew who I knew worked in mental health, and I said to her, you know, this is Mike Vini. We hadn't spoken in a while, but I said, I need help. I'm going to die. I'm suicidal. I'm agitated constantly. I'm self-harming. And I didn't like her response. Her response was, hey, Mike Vini, what's up? How are you? And I'm like, you're not listening to me. I'm in pain. You know, I'm going to die if I don't deal with this. And she said to me, she goes, can I hire you to be a speaker at my mental health conference? I said, absolutely not. I don't want to be around those people and speak about this stuff. I just need to get help. And she kept pushing that. And the next day she did something called adult bullying, where she emailed me and CC'd a bunch of other people. That's adult bullying, right? And she said, look, I'd like you to be the speaker at this conference. And I said to myself, you know, I got to do this. I just got to do this. And so I did it reluctantly. And I said to myself, you know what? It's on my calendar. It's something to look forward to. Maybe this will keep me from killing myself till I can find therapy. And I promised myself once I did this, I'd be done. Didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I did the event and got a standing ovation. Cried, I think, for the first time in my adult life. And people just kept asking me to speak at their events. And I'm thinking, what the heck did I end up in? Like, I'm just in this weird space now. So a lot of times in life, I believe that when something is thrown in your lap, it's important to decide whether you're going to surrender and be a servant to it or not. So I said to myself that maybe one of my gifts in this world is actually my mental health challenges. And maybe I should use that gift to help others who are struggling, because I'm able to speak, I'm able to present, I'm able to perform, I can get their attention. And it really started me on a journey of exploring mental health for myself and getting better and basically sharing what I learned with others. And through that, I became a writer for healthcentral.com. I write about anxiety and depression, again, not from a professional perspective, but interviewing professionals and getting their take on things. And it's been a beautiful journey that's helped me help myself and a lot of people.
Oh, that's great. I've always found that people that have had addictive problems that seem to get out of them, one of the things they want to do is help others.
Yes.
And they really wanted. I've actually seen people do that to a fault where I thought this was like a new addiction. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure you encountered them. Like they go so overboard that they're screwing up their lives, yet in a different way. But basically, the idea is that that these people need help, and when it comes to pass that they actually want the help, you could really start to turn things around with them. But it's a horrible thing to be involved with. I mean, like even a drunk hates a drunk. No one appreciates that in any regard. So it's a kind of a tough thing to get involved with, and then you start to get into cross addictions, and so now it's not just the booze; it's the booze and some maybe meth, and things just fall apart from there. They just fall apart from there.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Before I was talking to you, the first segment I did was about Father's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Did you grow up in a house with or without a father?
I have a dad. He's still alive, and saw him a few weeks ago.
Awesome. I was just curious because I'm sure you know that there's stats for fatherless homes in terms of addiction of children in there. It's quite high.
Yeah, and can I say something about that? It's actually interesting, and for your listeners out there, one of the things that comes up with both mental health and addiction is looking at growing up for all of us, and whether or not we had a parent in the home. You could have two parents in a wonderful home, but sometimes there are things that cause trauma, and trauma doesn't mean civil war, like something major happening. It could be just somebody a parent not having social skills. One of the things I believe about my mother is she didn't have the ability to help me learn to self-soothe when I felt pain emotionally. Mm-hmm. She didn't have that ability, so I didn't learn it, and she was very hot and cold with me. Again, nothing personal, just the way she was with everyone. But that really caused some emotional damage in me at a very young age that caused me to act out. And so one of the beautiful things about exploring these uncomfortable subjects is you get to really dig into your past and learn about who you are. And this has taught me so much about myself. So I really encourage people to not just get help to fix the issue, but for self-discovery. It's a beautiful process.
It is. It's a difficult one because most people, how can I put it? I'm a dentist by trade. And sometimes I'll treat a patient and they have a horrific stink coming from their mouth. But the only one that doesn't know it is them. So there's no sense of self-realization as to what's actually going on. You're too close to yourself in a way. You talked about disengaging. Sometimes being in a disengaged mindset and looking at what you are and trying to visualize yourself back, like one step removed, is extremely revealing. It can get very, very crazy.
Yeah.
So, where are you going to be speaking next? And tell us about the book. We should talk about the book a little bit.
We was talking about the book. I came out with a book reluctantly. That seems to be the story of my career, is reluctant, and I feel
it's working for you.
It's working for me.
So
but when I started speaking, as I told you, I did that event. People started telling me I should write a book, and I'm thinking, oh God, I don't want to do a giant research paper. I don't feel like doing it. So I wrote the book, but I wrote it with the intention on giving people practical tools that I have learned personally and I've interviewed others about for transforming stigma. Because, at the end of the day, if you think about life right now, culture we're in, we have more resources for mental health and substance abuse than ever before. It's talked about more than ever before, yet the suicide rate is constantly increasing. Yet, people are continuing to use different types of substances and have addictions. So what I realized is that, there's another problem here. There's this shame around this that is causing people to not get the help they need. There's this shame. And I wanted to do something about it because I have seen that in my own life. I call it like a backpack. It's like this. You can have your addiction, or you can have your mental health challenges, or both, or something that just happened to you that you don't want anyone to know about. Maybe you committed a crime and went to jail. And you carry it around like a backpack. It's this heavy backpack. It's like always with you. And the best way to lighten the backpack, is number one, you can take it off and unpack it. And that's what I did with the book, is gave people tools to transform the stigma surrounding mental health so they can get help for themselves or their loved ones.
Well, veering off a little bit, who are your favorite drummers?
My favorite drummers?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, last night I went to the Bitter End in New York City, and for those of you listening who haven't been to New York City, the Bitter End is one of our famous little concert venues. It's a little hole-in-the-wall bar-type venue that great musicians play. But I got to see Nathaniel Townsley is his name, phenomenal drummer, playing with Corey Glover from the band Living Color. And that was it was a beautiful performance, just a beautiful drummer, beautiful event. Dennis Chambers is one of my favorite drummers, who was a student of, or a protege of Tony Williams from Miles Davis.
Mm-hmm. I've seen Tony perform.
Yeah, Tony was special.
Yeah, it's an interesting performance.
It is, and you know what? Actually, circling back, for those of you that are listening, check out Tony Williams, because some of these musicians, when you see Tony Williams play, the intensity that he played, you got to wonder what emotional issues were going on too. Again, great musician, but I always wonder what kind of emotional things were happening that gave him that skill, that enhanced his skill. But yeah, that's two of my favorite drummers right there.
Cool, very cool. I'm more old school. I'm not. I don't know who the new really hot guys are. My era, the drummers were, believe it or not, Buddy Rich.
Okay.
I actually met with him, talked to him for a little bit, and he was very. He has a really horrible reputation, but he was really very nice to us. We were about 20 years old at the time or something like that. I'm now in my 60s. So I'm talking about a long time ago. Then there was this guy, his name was Billy Cobham.
Oh, yes.
Who was just an animal. Whatever band he was in, people would go not to hear the band, they'd go to hear him. And so those guys, Steve Gadd was another one.
Mm-hmm. And actually, a side note, Billy Cobham and I marched in the same drum corps.
That's cool.
So,
that's cool.
Not at the same time, but
oh, okay, all right.
But in the same drum corps, probably 25 years apart.
Wow, that is pretty good. That's pretty. If people want to learn more about you, or get in touch with you, or how would they go ahead and do all that good stuff?
Sure. You can go to my website. It's MikeVini.com, and the way you spell my last name is V like in Victor, E as in Edward, N as in Nancy, Y as in yellow. And on my site, I actually have a ton of resources. I have resources on corporate drumming if you want to learn more about it. Try it yourself, or do kids drumming parties. I have a bunch of books and videos you can check out. Also have some mental health resources. So if, again, you are struggling or know someone who is, there's a bunch of resources, more than you can imagine there, to get you the help you need ASAP. And if you want to download my book or purchase the paperback, you can buy it on Amazon.com.
Excellent. Look, I want to thank you for the time tonight. For a couple of minutes, I wasn't sure it was going to happen, but I'm sure happy it did. And enjoy yourself. Go ahead and help people. That's the best thing you can do. It's just about for anyone out there. That's a good little piece of advice. If you're having issues with yourself, try to get out of yourself a little bit. Go ahead and help someone else. And
awesome.
That's usually the way it would work well. Anyway, thanks again for joining us this evening. If we can in the future, maybe we can do it again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
You too now. Take care. Well, folks, that was Mike Vini. And again, you can reach him at MikeVini.com. And helpful dude, helpful gentleman. I mean, well, I don't know what else you could really want. This is a guy who helps people out. He does it through music, which I personally think is just absolutely spectacular. And we'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to take a bit of a break, maybe about a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, and then we'll be back with more stuff, so don't go anywhere. We'll speak to you in a little bit.
This is Steve Kane with Dr. Jonathan Cook from JJ Dental. Jonathan, I was just blown away by the reviews that your patients left online.
Yeah, sure. My website and Yelp, Google Places, Facebook, you name it. There's plenty of places to go to find 5-star reviews and read what our patients are saying about us.
You heard Dr. Cook. Go online, read his reviews. You'll be blown away too. And then call for an appointment, 954-463-7262 or online at jjdentalpractice.com.
Hi. At the Michael Blum Show, we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. If in your own personal life you have an experience or an event or something that's changed you, we'd love to hear about it and maybe get your story on air. Feel free to give us a call, 800-699-0980. Again, that's at 800-699-0980. Or feel free to email me at michael@blumradio.com. That's Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, at blumradio, B-L-U-M radio.com. And we will get in touch with you and put your story on the air.
This is Steve Kane, and I'm here with Dr. Jonathan Cook from JJ Dental. Jonathan, what are some of your most popular services that you perform over at JJ Dental?
Well, I would say cosmetic dentistry is number one. That's our major focus. But one of the beautiful things about our practice is there's nothing that we don't do under our roof. The days of patients bouncing around town to find different specialists are over, and there's nothing that we can't do at our office. So we have specialists that come into our office to provide the patients with the proper services. So aside from cosmetic dentistry, we also have endodontics. We do root canals, implants, veneers, crowns, bridges, Invisalign. You name it, there's not much that we don't do.
For all your dental needs, call Dr. Jonathan Cook at JJ Dental. Phone number 954-463-7262. And online at jjdentalpractice.com.
Hi, this is Michael Blum. Did you know the Michael Blum Show can be heard every Monday night from 9 to 11 p.m.? We also broadcast 24/7 from our website, michaelblumshow.com. That's michaelblumshow.com. You can be anonymous, so call us and let your voice be heard. Hi, this is Dr. Michael Blum. I just moved my practice down the block to my new office at JJ Dental, just 4 blocks south of my old office. I chose JJ Dental because it's a 5-star rated practice. That's why you should choose them too. Call 954-463-7262 and ask for an appointment with me, Dr. Blum, or any other of the fine dentists at JJ Dental, creating beautiful, healthy smiles that last a lifetime. Call 954-463-7262 and visit us online at jjdentalpractice.com. Hi, this is Michael Blum. Join me on Mondays from 9 to 11 p.m. for the Michael Blum Show, where we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. We talk about sex, substance abuse, spirituality, and politics. Think, speak, and be heard. Join us on the Michael Blum Show.
This is Steve Kane, and I'm in studio today with Dr. Jonathan Cook of JJ Dental. Dr. Cook, what are people looking for when they choose a dentist?
A bunch of things. I would say number one, first and foremost, they're looking for somebody who they get a sense that they care. And, I know for me, that would be number one. Also, obviously, convenience. Location is an important factor. Most people aren't driving miles and miles in their car to get to whoever it is that they need to see, whether it's a dentist or a doctor or whoever. But we're in downtown Fort Lauderdale. a very convenient location.
You don't waste their time. Is
No,
the feeling I get.
no, we want to make it very easy for patients in and out.
What is that line? Just because they call it a waiting room doesn't mean you have to spend your whole day waiting.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Call Dr. Cook at JJ Dental for an appointment. The number 954 area code 463-7262 or online at jjdentalpractice.com. This is Steve Kane with Dr. Jonathan Cook from JJ Dental. Jonathan, I was just blown away by the reviews that your patients left online.
Yeah, sure. My website and Yelp, Google Places, Facebook, you name it. There's plenty of places to go to find 5-star reviews and read what our patients are saying about us.
You heard Dr. Cook. Go online, read his reviews. You'll be blown away too. And then call for an appointment, 954-463-7262 or online at jjdentalpractice.com.
Hi. At the Michael Blum Show, we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. If in your own personal life you have an experience or an event or something that's changed you, we'd love to hear about it and maybe get your story on air. Feel free to give us a call, 800-699-0980. Again, that's at 800-699-0980. Or feel free to email me at michael@blumradio.com. That's Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, at blumradio, B-L-U-M radio.com. And we will get in touch with you and put your story on the air. And now, back to the Michael Blum Show. Join us by calling 800-699-0980. Think, speak, and be heard. And now, here's Michael Blum.
Reality Radio.
And now, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Michael Blum Show. That was a lot of fun with Mike Feeney. Again, if you want more information about what he does, how he can help you out, it's Mike, M-I-K-E, VENI.com. I did want to talk about the news. I mean, this, the news cycle just moves so damn fast, it's hard to really keep track of things. But there's some interesting things going on right now, and there's some stuff you don't hear about because it doesn't serve the liberal press to go ahead and publish things that really don't hurt Trump. So that just becomes, crazy. So what are we outraged with this week? Let's see. What could we be outraged now? You ever noticed that? I mean, everything that the media does, it's horrible. It's going to be the end of the world. I remember having an argument, not an argument, well, it was an argument, it was half. I'm always amazed at how psychotic liberals get if you try to discuss things with them, because they basically have no basis for most of what they say. If you disagree with me, call me up. 800-699-0980. That's 800-699-0980. But you see, we're supposed to be go crazy every single time something happens, and there's always something. I mean, if there's nothing, it'll get made up, and it's unbelievable. But it's a scam that the media uses all the time in an attempt to manipulate you, and they want to manipulate you through hatred and emotion because they can't with any sense of fact or anything like that. So what's the latest? Oh, we're holding kids. The kids are in cages. They're separated from their moms. Oh my God, that only happens like with any criminal, like forever. I mean, are we supposed to empty the prisons out because prisoners have kids? It should be really rather simple, folks. Don't come to the United States illegally. That's it. That's kind of,
That's the way to do it, And so because we have illegal aliens, criminals breaking the law, for some reason we're supposed to treat them differently. No, we have a save the children, playing the world's smallest violin here. I hate to sound callous about it, but that's the only way I think the message can get through properly. So you have these countries basically, and by the way, I got to tell you, if you look at statistics, pulling kids away from parents is not the real issue. The real issue is the majority of the children who are entering this country are entering without parents. Their parents send them on their way for a nice little trip through Mexico and Guatemala and who knows where with the coyotes and drug dealers and you name it. That's basically what goes on. They drag them through like scorching deserts so that they can break the laws of another country. It's because they live in, shall we say, countries that are shitholes? No. Oh, the media has to go crazy now. Let's go crazy again. Oh, my God, he said that word about these countries. How dare he? So, the world's going to come to it. Oh, net neutrality. Oh, my God, it's heading to the world. I don't know how you get used to it if you're a liberal, but I guess if you have to, some people live the dream, some people live the lie, and so there you go. That's it. So, forget about the fact that Obama had kids, wrapped up in tinfoil in quote-unquote cages too, but that's fine. You don't need to think about that. Please don't think. Are you crazy? Let your emotions run wild. Let your hatred go forward. I mean, that's what you should be doing, right? That's what's important, not facts or law or common sense or anything like that. Just go ahead and let you go ahead and run. Let your nutty mind run free. That's basically how it should be, right? Boy, there are some questions though. If the real problem is kids just coming here unaccompanied, who is sponsoring that? Who makes that happen? Who can make all of those things possible? I don't have an answer, folks. You can give me an answer if you know. Call me up, 800-699-0980. Again, that's 800-699-0980. Maybe you can answer that for me. And the other question I have is, why do libs support it? Why do libs support it? I mean, it's true. We separate mommy or daddy from the criminal that commits a crime. That's how it's always been. That's how it is. That's what the law is. Always, if you don't like laws, you can go ahead and change them. But that's how it is. Do we have a right to be a sovereign nation or not? And if you think no, well, then you're lost, in my opinion, and that's the end of the United States, which is what the left really would love. They don't have any great love for the United States. I mean, Obama started his career off as president by apologizing for us. What do you apologize for? Because you think something is good? No, you apologize because you think that are the horrible wrongs of the United States. Forget the fact that we're the most generous country in the world ever, that we're still one of the few countries where you can come here and actually make something of yourself. Forget all that. That's just nonsense. We're citizens of the world. Of course, these are they're so hypocritical. These are the same folks that they don't want a wall, but they sure have a wall around their house. They don't want guns, but they have an army of people securing them with guns. So it gets crazy. So the news always becomes ridiculous. So please, someone just think about the children. But don't think about the illegal alien parents that put them in that position. Because, if you start to think too much, that's not good. This is all about, basically, the Democrats want catch and release again. They want you hold them. You say, come back for the hearing in a month. They go, yes, there, of course. And then they just never show up, And so they... The media just fakes outrage about all this stuff because we're treating the criminals like criminals. That's never any good. The idea to create a crisis, what was his name? Eric Holder. Eric Holder said, never let a crisis go to waste. Well, in this case, you don't even have to let it go to waste. You can just create one from nothing. Let's go ahead and create one, and that's... That's pretty much how you can go ahead and do things. Just make an issue up. To me, it's kind of like a fill in the blank. I've been doing this a long time. I've studied some politics for a while, and the liberal playbook always is Republicans hate, and then you can fill in the blank. Republicans hate homosexuals. Republicans hate transgenders. Republicans hate Muslims. And then this one is Republicans hate children. We're going to kill the children. We'll throw grandma over the cliff. You know, this is the Romney shit that was going on in a wheelchair. I mean, just absolute nothing. Romney ties a dog to the top of his... I mean, just absolutely ridiculous, you know? And if you don't agree with that, guess what? You're a Nazi. All of a sudden, you believe in the genocide of a whole group of people because you want to follow the laws of the United States. That's kind of crazy, but that's what everyone's bitching about right now. Why would they want to do that? Like I said, what is the purpose? The purpose basically is that once you're undocumented and you get in, eventually if you get the right to vote, you've just increased the liberal, leftist voting base. Because what do they want? They don't want educated people in particular. And, you know, these rocket scientists and physicists are not coming in this wave. You know, that's just not what's happening. So it's perfect for them. These are malleable people. They can throw some money at them, and they can be on the dole like black folk have been for centuries here. New slavery. You know, these folks, particularly if you listen to like Maxine Waters and her nonsense from like a day or so ago, this is the Confederacy. Moral reasons for hating black people. Oh, well, no, it's a moral reason for hating people that believe in Trump. Well, basically half the United States. Oh, it's kind of similar, isn't it? Similar to that. But to be quite honest, I am really, really tired with this continual, constant, outraging crisis mongering. It's just idiotic. And so how do you deal with it? You ignore it because it'll go away. You know, I mean, that's pretty much what happens quite often. It all just will dissipate and go away. Give it another week or so, and then you're going to have to find, I guess, something else to hate. That would be the next thing to do. And I want you to listen to a video because I think it's pretty cool. Wait, what did this change up? Oh, it's black. Never mind. Anyway, I think it's pretty cool, and I'll be interrupting things as we go.
Manuel Padilla is chief of the Rio Grande Valley Sector of Customs and Border Protection. He is responsible for the busiest area of illegal crossings in the country and for implementing the policy. He's with us now for an interview that you'll see only on CBS this morning. Chief Padilla, we thank you very much for joining us because I know you were hearing the conversation.
Now, this is Gail King. So this is Oprah's one of Oprah's really best friends.
And hearing a lot of the heated conversation. People say that this zero tolerance policy actually means zero humanity. What do you say to that?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Gail. Thank you for being here at the busiest location on the border. 40% of all the apprehensions happen in this sector. 44% of all the seizures of marijuana happen in this sector. And when we compare it to the rest of
he looks like he hates kids, doesn't he? Wants to kill them.
So with that, those are just numbers. It's a very complex situation. When you have high levels of activity and a lack of resources, personnel, technology, and infrastructure, it creates kind of this chaotic environment. This chaotic environment manifests itself by vehicle rollovers. We had a terrible case yesterday where 5 lost their lives.
Yes.
We have over 1,000 rescues where the agents are rescuing people on a daily basis. And then we also have the stash houses where people are just subjected to just terrible conditions while they're being held as they're being smuggled. This smuggling really fuels the cartel violence on the south side. And so when we're talking about zero tolerance policy, we have done different efforts throughout the years. 2014, we started detaining this population of family units.
But Chief Padilla, let me stop you for just a second,
yes,
because I don't want to go back to 2014.
Why not? Why don't you want to go back to 2014? Answer: because Barack Obama was doing the same thing. See, we can't go back here. We can go back 10 years into Stormy Daniel, the porno whore. That's okay. But that was 10 years ago. You're not going to hear anyone go, well, it's 10 years ago. We don't want to go back there, you know. And for that, if that's the case, we should maybe we should go back and allow the Confederate flags to be flying all over the place. I mean, it happened so many years ago. I mean, really. So we don't want to really go back there. You don't want to go back there because it exposes you as the hypocrite that you are.
I know that this is complicated for you and your team. But what people are talking about is cruel and humane behavior, is how it's perceived. Do you actually agree with this policy, or are you carrying out orders?
Well,
just like Hitler. Are you carrying out orders? These are just laws that Trump has decided we should enforce because people elected him to do that. So just listen to the tone, the way the words are worded, and you can hear the bullshit that is media.
I do agree that we have to do something. We created the situation by not doing anything. So what happens with zero tolerance is we were exempting a group, a population from the law. And what happens when you do that, it creates a vacuum, it creates a draw for a certain group of people that rises to trends that become a crisis. I'm going to give you an example here. Because we were releasing family units, we were not taking any action. May 2nd, just last month, we had an MS-13, full-blown MS-13, accompanied by his 1-year-old child. He thought that he was going to get released into the community. That was not the case.
But help us understand how we are seeing the pictures and hearing the stories of mothers and children who their children. I met a woman yesterday where they were separated for 6 days who was fleeing because she was afraid of gang violence. Help us understand why some of the families are being told that your children are going to be taken to given a bath and they don't see their children. How is that okay?
So very respectfully, Ms. Gale, that's misinformation that is out there. There's a story about removing a child from a breastfeeding mother. Absolutely not true.
But I'm not
every family member gets a sheet with information to keep track of their child, to get information where that child is, and they're all reunited at the... Where
I was yesterday, I had parent after parent tell me they weren't told where their child was.
Again, parent after parent. It's hard. It was hard for me to find statistics, actually, but I did find them at least with the Homestead Detention Facility. There's 1,200 people there, 1,200 kids. 70 of them were removed from their parents. The others are all there just by themselves because parents sent them on this wonderful journey across hell. They love their children so much, they figured if they can get them in there, maybe they can get in there alive, maybe not. But then maybe they can also then come in because they'd be there, and then somehow the United States will have compassion for them and have no borders and allow everyone and anyone who wants to come in that has a child come in. Also, you got to realize this is all like zero tolerance crap. Zero tolerance just means that they're enforcing the law. The other thing I want you to realize, too, is that CBS, NBC, all of those guys, when they do these types of interviews, it's like Pravda. You're no longer getting news. I mean, that should be obvious for anyone who has a brain out there when you go ahead and listen to stuff. You're getting information that's someone's opinion, but you're certainly not getting any news out of it. So these folks... It's just like I remember seeing films about how horrible the Jews were to the Arabs in the, you can pick, in the Golan Heights. And you see them burying somebody, and then the film runs a little bit too long, and the guy gets out of the coffin and walks away. A lot of this stuff is absolutely staged. These people are not going to talk to people who are not going to give them the answers that they don't want. It just won't happen. And if they do, that will go by the wayside as well.
Their child was just being taken away, that they had no way to communicate with their
And by the way, this happens in conservative media as well.
Children. That's not misinformation. That's someone that I heard with my own ears and was talking to the people.
That is misinformation, very respectfully. So let me give you another piece of context.
How is it misinformation if they're saying it to me? Are they not telling the truth to me?
Well, no, we have a sheet that we give, and we came out with a sheet that we give to the parents because that was a potential gap of information. Parents just being, apart from their children, need information what is going to happen. So there's a information sheet that explains the entire process. You violated the law. You are going to go through the judicial process. While you're going through this process, you are going to be separated from your child, temporarily separated from your child, and then reunited at the point when you serve your sentence. Let me give another piece of
Does this seem
context.
like a cruel and inhumane treatment to you?
Ma'am, we do that with the United States citizens. If a United States citizen violates the law, and that person is accompanied by his or her children, and they're going through a judicial process, the children are separated from that parent because the kids are not going through that process. So I think a lot of people lose sight. The other thing that people lose sight of...
Do you think we're all too emotional about this?
I think that's a very good point. If we look at this situation without emotion and without politics, to be honest with you, I'm an operator.
And you're a father.
And I am a father. If we look at this objectively, we have to do something, because when you have this flow of people, and these people are fleeing poverty and fleeing other things,
and violence,
totally understood.
Yes.
But when you have this flow of people, that trek is so dangerous. Over 1,000 rescues this year. Last week.
You're wrapping me up. I have to go. But I have to say, with all due respect, I think it's hard to look at this story without emotion. But I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you for coming down here and understanding this.
Thank you. We're very glad to be here. We will have more from South Texas.
Anyway, so there you go. That's the interview with the guy who really knows what's going on. And, it's very unpopular to say the truth, but who cares? I mean, sometimes I think that a lot of these kids, if they're leaving such crappy little places, they're probably better off where they are. And again, the number of people that are being ripped from their parents is minuscule. That's not the major issue. The major issue is parents sending their kids on this journey to come here illegally, so that they can eventually live off the tits of the United States. I mean, that's pretty much it. It's not like the old-fashioned kind of immigrants that come in here and want to be Americans. Sometimes it's surprising to me because quite often I see the first thing they do when they get in here is pick up the flag of the country they were fleeing and wave it around. So proud of it. Well, what the hell did you leave it for? And the answer again is just simple. You want to avoid this crisis, folks out there? Don't come to the United States illegally. All these people who are being detained and have this problem are not coming through the regulated ports of entry. They're being picked up. I mean, so criminals are criminals are criminals are criminal. And I talked to someone and said, well, that's only a misdemeanor. Well, you go tell that to Steinley's, Mr. Steinley's, talk to him about his daughter. Tell him about how illegal immigration is really just a misdemeanor, kind of like a parking ticket, or something like that. Such nonsense. Anyway, I figured maybe some facts would be in order, and just to kind of clear things up a little bit, one is under the Obama administration, and I am going back, because you need to understand where this problem has come from. He kept double the number of children that we have now in detention centers. And that fact comes from Health and Human Resources, the HHS, Administration of Child Families. And actually one of their spokespersons there said in an article last week that as many as 10,852 unaccompanied children in its custody right now. And that's a significant jump. And he's talking about things that happened during Obama. This is not now. The time frame for what I'm talking to you about is about 2014, 2013. So what's happening is way back when this was happening, there was starting to become a steady and bigger increase in people coming in here. Significant jump of people that are undocumented children in its custody with the HHS. And in 2013, under the Barack Obama administration, they believe that they've had or held as many as 25,000 unaccompanied children, and they're in about 80 shelters across the United States. And a lot of this stuff is very, very well footnoted, and it comes from a 2014 article which I did read in Mother Jones, which no one can ever confuse for a conservative paper or conservative blog. It just doesn't happen. And the revelation that kids were like kept in cages came to light in 2014 when that story broke. There was a thread of 39 photos in 2014 that showed the conditions that the children were subjected to. This is all under Obama. It's so funny when they tried to blame this and show the horrible conditions that are going on under Trump with that goddamn Trump. They accidentally put up pictures of kids from the Obama administration. Whoops. We didn't mean to do that. That's how media operates. They put up a lower third thing that says Paul Manafort arrested for 5 manslaughter charges. I said, oops. I did it again. Here we go. It's Britney Spears. Anyway, another thing. Obama administration knowingly let MS-13 gang members into the United States, at least 16 of them, if not more. And those kids were allowed in 2014 because what the hell, really? It's an open border here. Let's go ahead and get them in here. A whistleblower, by the way, was the person who brought that to light. The other thing, this is again Obama administration, they held Mexican kids for months as punishment for crossing the border. That's from a Washington Post, another bastion of conservative thought This was, again, back, I think, in 2013, 2014. Again, it's all around the same time frame. And there was an intelligence analysis that estimated basically that 78% of the guides smuggling other immigrants were Mexicans younger than 18. Teenagers often hired by or conscripted by the drug cartels. And Obama said, we want to go ahead and fix this loophole in the law here. So he figured that if he took these juveniles and just held them as a punishment, that somehow would be the thing to do. The idea was, why don't we just remove these juveniles from the smuggling cycle? Take them out of the smuggling cycle. I mean, if you just hold them, then the cartels really can't go ahead and use them to do stuff. And the Obama administration also knowingly placed immigrant children with human traffickers. The New York Times, okay? New York Times. This is at the beginning of 2016. They placed more than a dozen immigrant children in the custody of human traffickers after it failed to conduct background checks of the caregivers. So there you go. It's intolerable, really, that human trafficking exists. It's modern-day slavery. And it's happening in our own backyard, believe it or not. I should do another show on that. But what's amazing about this is the Obama administration was responsible for allowing this kind of stuff to occur. So, truth speaks louder than words. Cut the emotional crap out. It doesn't make any sense or any difference at all. The truth makes the difference. And Trump may be a little bit of a bull in a china shop with certain things, and I fully agree with that. I understand why people don't like him. But basically, he's enforcing the laws of the United States, and he's doing what he was absolutely elected to go ahead and do. I want someone else who can sum this up a little bit better than me. I want you to hear.
There are a bunch of lies that are being told right now. We'll go through a lot of the lies that are being told by the media in just a second. But some of the lies being told are that Trump is randomly deciding to separate kids at the border. He doesn't have to do that. He does have to do that by operation of law. The only thing the Trump administration is doing differently is they are treating everyone who is crossing the border illegally as an illegal immigrant for prosecution, for purposes of prosecution. And then because you're doing that, the kids can't stay in custody with the parents longer than 20 days. And that is operation of law once again. Now, the media are going nuts over all of this, and they are making a huge fuss out of all of this. And they're showing up at the border, and they are showing up at these particular border stations where the kids are being held. The kids are being held separately in what are cages, essentially. Now, when they say cages, it makes it sound like it's like a chicken coop, like it's tiny. It isn't, but of course, technically they are cages because it's chain link fence separating people. So the administration has tried to fight back against the cages descriptor, saying the kids are being treated pretty well. The kids are being treated by some accounts well, by some accounts not as well. Apparently, one of the regulations on the books is that federal employees are not allowed to touch the kids for fear of lawsuit. So that means that some of the illegal immigrant children are changing the diapers of other illegal immigrant children they don't even know. The conditions are not good. All of this is underfunded. Congress could solve all of this, by the way. Congress could solve all of this today. All they have to do is pass a law that says that if you come into the country illegally with your parents and you get to stay together. Right? You get to stay in custody together. Right? That would be the way that you fix this law. And then it's the parents' option whether they want the kids released to the custody of HHS or released to the custody of a family member already in the United States, but they get to stay with the parents otherwise. Right? Congress can do that tomorrow, and Congress should do that today or tomorrow. Apparently, I'm hearing from the Speaker's office, from Speaker Ryan's office, that's exactly what Speaker Ryan is going to pursue, plus funding for expanded facilities to ensure that parents can stay together with their kids when they come across the border. So all of this is in the process of getting solved. I do find it somewhat suspicious that the media have decided to jump both feet on the bandwagon as though this is some sort of great human rights catastrophe brought on by the Trump administration, when of course all of this started under the Obama administration, or at least it was happening under the Obama administration. Brandon Darby from Breitbart, he had a bunch of photos. I remember when I was working at Breitbart still, he put out all of these photos. Right? These are all photos of a bunch of people, including children, who are at these detention facilities. It doesn't look that great, right? I mean, this is from 2014. You can see all the photos. It's from 2014, and it's children who are separated from males, who are separated from females. These facilities are overcrowded. Right? All of this was happening in 2015. There's nothing new happening here. But the implication is there's something new happening here because it's Trump. And that, of course, is not true.
And that's media's attempt at using some type of emotional bat to hit you over the head continually and constantly. So this becomes the news. Now, this really isn't news. I mean, you don't know what's going on There's been new things that are happening with North Korea. There's all sorts of stuff going on in the news that actually is important, but it's not covered by the media because it does not fit their agenda. It does not hurt the United States or Donald Trump. So we have some major issues with media as well. It's kind of crazy, but there's someone, and I usually don't use celebrities to go ahead and get a point across, but this I thought was pretty cool.
So what is the long-term effect of too much information? The polarization of the electorate? A meaner-spiritedness?
And false information as well, because the whole fake news thing.
Pick one. It's not just one. That's the flavor of the day. Every day is something else. People have to understand, are you using your device or is your device using you? Can you put it down? Can you turn it off?
You're talking about literally the places people get their information from.
I don't care what information. Pick one. Phone, television. You know, it used to be news. Now it's opinions. Oh, glasses. We have 3 experts on the right, 3 on the left. Let's discuss. Ooh, light bulbs. We have 3 experts on the right. That's not news. That's opinions. Well, over and over and over. Cycle. What is the long-term effect of too much information? If you're sitting there and you're thinking it's the gospel, what I'm saying to people is, to all of us, I'm not knocking the phone. What I'm saying is we have to understand, we have to at least ask ourselves, around the world, you here in England, wherever you are, what is it doing to us?
Yes, what is it doing to us? Denzel Washington. I would really not have thought that. I really would not have thought that. But as you know, we do have some odd representation that actually, not only does the media kind of like fan the fire of bullshit and nothing, so do members of the political parties that we have. And I'll tell you my take on it. Basically is that I don't blame the Democrats for anything. They're losers. They lost the election. Someone different came in. I don't care what they want. I don't care what they feel they need. I really don't care. They lost. As Obama said, they could sit in the back like you know who. That's what he said about the Republicans. Oh, if they want, they can sit in the back and come from the ride, but they can sit in the back. And so it's the same thing with these people. I blame the Republicans because they're worthless. They have the House, they have the Senate. Change the fucking rule and get some things done. But they're not known for getting things done. They're known for not getting things done. You know, I saw a political cartoon the other time about school shootings, and there was a new school shooting, and the answer from the government is, well, we haven't really done enough of nothing with the other one to go ahead and enter into any conversation about this new shooting. And that's pretty much it. So we have a beauty like Maxine Waters, who basically is voted 4 times. She is the hit record, 4 times the most corrupt member of Congress, you know, and it's unbelievable with her. But she's the one who's spewing her frickin' stupid mouth off. During her time in Congress, her family has made over $1 million in revenue from Waters' government connections. Throughout her 27 years, she's passed 4 bills. Count them, 4. 27 years. 1 every 6 or 7 years. Very nice. And they're all really important bills. A Haitian relief bill, renaming a post office, and modifying national flood insurance program. Those are the big contributions she's made after 27 years in Congress, helping us out. She doesn't live where her constituents live. She lives as a millionaire would. This is the Jesse Jackson in the Senate, you know what I mean? I mean, they're just race-baiting bigots that do nothing to help their own. She was also charged by the House Ethics Committee for securing bailout funds for a bank in which her husband owned stock. It's 3 counts of violating House rules. Okay, so she set up a bailout in a failing bank so that her husband would make some money. Okay, this is working for you. This is this wonderful person that we have in Congress for way too long. Basically, this whole thing, unfortunately, it becomes something that you realize in that there is really a system of a two-tiered system of justice in the United States, if not more than that. I mean, they're making many, many, many tiers of justice about that. But that's what we got. We got Maxine Waters, the lunatic, going on, and something else that kind of explains this, again, a little bit better than I could. I'd like you to hear.
We have a serious storm brewing. During the French Revolution, Maximilien Robespierre was the ringleader of what is called the Reign of Terror. See that over there? The guillotine? Yeah. That's what he used to people who stepped out of line. The Reign of Terror. He said, and I quote, "To punish the oppressors of humanity is clemency. To forgive them is cruelty." Wow. Well, if that's the case, keep that in mind. Let's listen to California U.S. Representative Maxine Waters at a rally in Los Angeles on Saturday.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
I wonder what she meant by "you ain't seen nothing yet." What you think she means about that she's going to come? Now, remember, Obama said that if they come with a knife, we come with a gun. So I wonder what she means.
Already, you have members of your cabinet that have been booed out of restaurants, who have protesters taking up at their house, who's saying no peace, no sleep. No peace, no sleep. And guess what? We're going to win this battle, because while you try and quote the Bible, Jeff Sessions and others, you really don't know the Bible. God is on our side.
God is on the Democrat side. That's why the mention of God was booed during the second election of Obama. They wanted to know if they should put anything in the platform that had to do with God, and when people suggested they should, the Democrats booed it. But now God's important to Maxine here.
That is, wow, that's something that when I was at Fox, I always made sure to tell people, no, we have to make sure that we are on God's side. That's Robespierre, calling for mobs to gather and harass cabinet and government officials. Now, this doesn't seem to raise any red flags for CNN, NBC, or anybody else, because that's just Maxine. That's just what she does, you know. And I guess we don't know history well enough to recognize the spirit of Robespierre when we encounter it. Perhaps the scariest thing about this clip is Waters saying, "God is on our side." Historically, that phrase has been used to justify a ton of very un-American activity. Now, let me go back to the media. Why doesn't anybody trust you? Why won't anybody like us? Well, imagine if I would have stood at a Tea Party rally in 2009 and said word for word what she just said. I wouldn't be talking to you now. Forget IRS targeting. I would have been clamped in iron masks and tossed into the dungeon or a river. I would have been public enemy number one, and everyone knows that. But this is just crazy Maxine. She's okay. Really. The things we have seen in just the past few days are precursors to a modern-day reign of terror. Was Glenn Beck being a conspiracy theorist? No, actually, I don't think I can be. Because what I said was maybe not this president, but the president after, or the one after that, could do awful things like Japanese internment camps. George Takei just said, we not only hit that, we're beyond that.
And there you go. What a horrible nation we are, huh, folks? What a horrible nation. You know, it reminds you of someone else that you know. This guy preached hatred too. Convinced the whole country. There's a group of people he didn't really care for. So I'm not saying that Maxine Waters is a Nazi, because that term is just thrown around too much. But she should be removed from her position in the Senate because she's obviously inciting riots and would like to see some violence happen. Scalise, we've already had one shooting from some lunatic. And I have a feeling that we probably had a mass shooting in Vegas because you never hear anything about that story, or what happened to it, or what happened to the guy, or anything like that. So I have a feeling he was probably heavily involved with some democratic functioning, and so you'll never hear about that because it does not suit the media to go ahead and tell the truth about it. That's pretty much it. So, folks, I'm going to take a break here, and I'm going to come back in a little bit, and we will conclude. We do have one more segment to go where we will talk about some things that I think are important and actually news.
This is Steve Kane, and I'm here with Dr. Jonathan Cook from JJ Dental. Jonathan, what are some of your most popular services that you perform over at JJ Dental?
Well, I would say cosmetic dentistry is number one. That's our major focus. But one of the beautiful things about our practice is there's nothing that we don't do under our roof. The days of patients bouncing around town to find different specialists are over, and there's nothing that we can't do at our office. So we have specialists that come into our office to provide the patients with the proper services. So aside from cosmetic dentistry, we also have endodontics. We do root canals, implants, veneers, crowns, bridges, Invisalign. You name it, there's not much that we don't do.
For all your dental needs, call Dr. Jonathan Cook at JJ Dental. Phone number 954-463-7262. And online at jjdentalpractice.com.
Hi, this is Michael Blum. Did you know the Michael Blum Show can be heard every Monday night from 9 to 11 p.m.? We also broadcast 24/7 from our website, michaelblumshow.com. That's michaelblumshow.com. You can be anonymous, so call us and let your voice be heard. Hi, this is Dr. Michael Blum. I just moved my practice down the block to my new office at JJ Dental, just 4 blocks south of my old office. I chose JJ Dental because it's a 5-star rated practice. That's why you should choose them too. Call 954-463-7262 and ask for an appointment with me, Dr. Blum, or any other of the fine dentists at JJ Dental, creating beautiful, healthy smiles that last a lifetime. Call 954-463-7262 and visit us online at jjdentalpractice.com. Hi, this is Michael Blum. Join me on Mondays from 9 to 11 p.m. for the Michael Blum Show, where we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. We talk about sex, substance abuse, spirituality, and politics. Think, speak, and be heard. Join us on the Michael Blum Show.
This is Steve Kane, and I'm in studio today with Dr. Jonathan Cook of JJ Dental. Dr. Cook, what are people looking for when they choose a dentist?
A bunch of things. I would say number one, first and foremost, they're looking for somebody who they get a sense that they care. And, I know for me that would be number one. Also, obviously, convenience. Location is an important factor. I mean, most people aren't driving miles and miles in their car to get to whoever it is that they need to see, whether it's a dentist or a doctor or whoever. But we're in downtown Fort Lauderdale. A very convenient location.
You don't waste their time. Is the feeling I get.
No, we want to make it very easy for patients in and out.
What is that line? Just because they call it a waiting room doesn't mean you have to spend your whole day waiting.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Precisely.
Call Dr. Cook at JJ Dental for an appointment. The number 954 area code 463-7262 or online at jjdentalpractice.com.
And now, back to the Michael Blum Show. Join us by calling 800-699-0980. Think, speak, and be heard. And now, here's Michael Blum. Welcome back, everybody. I kind of went a little bit long here. I'm almost tempted to end the show because I do have a bit more to say, and I don't know that I have enough time here to do it, but I think I need to in some regard because we talked about fake news. We talked about
everything really other than what's really happening. And it's funny how, like, I don't know if I can get to this. Let me see if I can get to this for a second here. Where's the CNN thing here? Okay. CNN actually had an article today. It's called 5 Things for June the 26th. And I'm curious really what motivates different people and different kind of trains of thought. So this is CNN. These are the things that are the important things right now. And we can talk about them. Politics, obviously. And what's the big political thing is that, Maxine Waters, being an idiot, being condemned by her own at this point for going ahead and inciting a riot and thinking it's okay to go ahead and...
Did not know.
Shut up. I hate when this crap, sometimes you go onto a website and it just starts to play garbage. It's unbelievable. So what else is that? Again, about 7,000 unaccompanied children. So we got that twice here. These are the things. Trade and tariffs. Of course, it's not anything that has to do with the tariffs helping us. That's Harley Davidson said that they're going to go ahead and move a part of their operations for the Europe market out of the United States. And basically, they need to kind of wait a little bit. And then they would go ahead and see that what does Trump really want? They don't mention that at all because it makes sense. He says that all of these countries, the European countries, the G7 that we have, should be free trade. Get rid of all tariffs. That's what the guy would be shooting for. But until then, he's just not going to allow the United States to be taken advantage of. And then they had something else here about Mexico. Because there was a mayor was killed. It's funny when cannabis drugs. Okay, there's a FDA approved a new drug that's based in pot. So those are the big important things you have to remember in the news today, according to CNN. That's what's really going on there. There's one thing they left out, which I'm really not surprised that they left out, but I am surprised on another level because any thinking human being that's involved with any type of a news cycle whatsoever would go ahead and be reporting this. There was an IG report, that was released. It's an Inspector General, and this is Michael Horowitz. He's the Inspector General for the Department of Justice. So first you have to believe in your head that an Obama appointee, head of the Justice Department, is going to be able to evaluate his own department. Nothing independent about it whatsoever. So you get, in essence, another cover-up. As far as I'm concerned, very, very similar to what Comey did. There's a whole set of things that are obvious and absolutely horrific going on, but, I didn't mean to do it. I don't think they're really biased. If you're a frickin' moron from another planet, you don't think they're biased. And there were some text messages that came out, and this is, of course, with all the FBI. And I'm wondering about the FBI a little bit, too, because everyone says, oh, yeah, but the field agents, I'm starting to think maybe they're all involved. Fish rots from the head down. That was an old mafia expression. That's why Bobby Kennedy is killing, you don't kill him. You go ahead and kill his brother, the president, because the fish rots from the head down. But anyway, I think his name is Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. And if you read the text that they had, they're just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I'll give you a couple of examples. Strzok left the Hillary email investigation to go to a Russian investigation. And then Mueller hired him. It was about a month later he was reassigned because Mueller discovered these texts that he was doing with his illicit lover, Lisa Page, who is another attorney at the FBI. And my gut sense tells me that there is no big there. That's a quote from Peter Strzok. And this is why he was reassigned from Russia to do other things, because he felt that in the Russian probe against Trump, there is no big there. You know what that means? The only people who really colluded with Russians in the last election were the Democrats. That's what it means. And I really think that all of these guys, Comey and the whole batch of them, are really responsible for making what I thought was a fine institution into a shithole institution. It's the FBI. Make up your own new words to describe it. The fucking bullshit institution. I mean, that's a good one. Anyway, Let's see, what else? So some of them are interesting. Now, remember, the IG said that bias is not here. In other words, he has said actually no documentary evidence that bias occurred. So what he means is no one put down in writing, hey, let's have the hate Trump pact and we'll see what we can do to make sure he's never the president. That was never written down or solidified or codified in any type of a manuscript. Okay? But what you do have is all of these text messages. So let's read a couple of them. Let's see. I'm trying to find actual quotes here. I don't know that I'm going to be able to. Let's see. Talking about other things. Okay. We can't turn, this is a quote, we can't turn this country over to the people who live in it. We can't weight that risk. We, the superior members of our little club here, we are going to continue to run this country. They didn't know what they were doing when they elected Trump. Now that is, actually, that's the feeling and the sentiment behind most of these things. Because they can't really imagine that the country could run using the people that actually make it work. That's kind of nuts. Then there's just this article's not that great for it. I thought it would be, but anyway. But I do have something that I think that really will also help understand really what's going on here. And I'm just going to play this and I'll call it a day. This is a long one, folks. It's about 15 minutes. It's Trey Gowdy asking certain questions of the Inspector General. This is real news, by the way, because this is now obvious proof that we lived with two different judicial standards, and we live with basically a weaponized government that will use whatever method it can against whoever it can to make sure that the people they would like to see in power, not the people, but who they, the elitists, would like to see in power, try to make sure that that all happens. And more than what I could say, I'm going to play this video. Like I said, it's kind of long, but I'm going to play it, and then we can call it a day. I find it very, very interesting. And this is Mr. Horowitz, again, being questioned by Trey Gowdy.
Thank you, Mr. Inspector General. There's a text exchange between FBI lawyer Lisa Page and FBI agent Peter Strzok from August the 8th of 2016. In that text exchange, Lisa Page wrote, "Trump's not ever going to become president," right with a question mark, and then right with a question mark, and an exclamation point in case anybody reading it may have missed the point of her emphasis. Peter Strzok responded, no, he's not. We'll stop it. Do I have that text exchange right?
You do.
Now, Lisa Page was an FBI lawyer who worked on the Clinton email investigation?
That's correct.
Did she also work on the Russia investigation?
She did.
How about the Mueller special counsel team?
She did for a period of time.
All right, so we're 3 for 3 on her working on the two most important Bureau investigations in 2016 and beyond. Now, is this the same Lisa Page that Andy McCabe used to leak information to a news outlet?
She was his special counsel, and as we indicated in our earlier report, she was the individual through whom he provided that information.
Wasn't there also a text about an insurance policy in case Trump won in a meeting in Andy's office? She was part of that text string too, wasn't she?
Correct. That was on August 15th.
All right, so this August 8 text was not the only time FBI lawyer Lisa Page was able to use the text feature on her phone. This is the same Lisa Page who admonished the agent interviewing Hillary Clinton not to go into that interview loaded for bear because Clinton might be the next president. And it's the same Lisa Page who said Trump was loathsome, awful. The man cannot become president. Clinton just has to win. And that Trump should go F himself. Now, most of those comments were before the Clinton investigation was over. And we are somehow supposed to believe that she did not prejudge the outcome of that investigation before it was over. She already had Hillary Clinton winning. I don't know how you can win if you're going to wind up getting indicted and or plead guilty or be convicted of a felony. So, I think we understand the first half of that text pretty well. She didn't want Trump to win, and she wanted Clinton to win. Now for the response. Senior FBI agent Peter Strzok wrote, no, he's not. We'll stop it. Now, I think this is the same Peter Strzok who worked on the Clinton email investigation. Do I have that right?
That's correct.
St. Peter Strzok, who not only worked on the Russia investigation when it began, was one of the lead investigators at the inception of the Russia probe. Do I have the right Peter Strzok?
That's my understanding.
Now, is it the same Peter Strzok who was put on the Mueller special counsel team?
Yes.
All right, same Peter Strzok. And this is not the only time he managed to find the text feature on his phone either. This is the same Peter Strzok who said Trump is an idiot, Hillary should win 100 million to 0. Now, Mr. Inspector General, that one is interesting to me because he's supposed to be investigating her for violations of the Espionage Act at the time he wrote that, in March of 2016. He's supposed to be investigating her for violations of the Espionage Act, and he can't think of a single solitary American that wouldn't vote for her for president. I mean, can you see our skepticism? This senior FBI agent not only had her running, he had her winning 100 million to nothing. So what if they'd found evidence sufficient to indict her? What if they had indicted her? Is this the same Peter? He wasn't part of the interview of Secretary Clinton, was he?
He was present for the interview.
Huh. So 4 months before that interview where he was present, he's got her running and winning 100 million to 0. And it's the same Peter Strzok who wrote The Bigoted Nonsense of Trump. Trump's a disaster. I have no idea how destabilizing his presidency would be. He wrote F Trump. Trump is an effing idiot. On the prospects of Trump winning, he wrote, this is an effing terrifying. In addition to seeming to like the F word, I think we have the same FBI agent, Lisa Page, and the same FBI agent, Peter Strzok, working on the Clinton email investigation, the Russia probe, and on Mueller's team. So we have the right text and we got the right people. I want to make sure we have the chronology right. July 5th, 2016, Comey announces no charges for Secretary Clinton, right?
Correct.
July 28th, 2016, the FBI initiates a counterintelligence investigation into Russia and the Trump campaign. And Strzok is not only on that Russia investigatory team, he's actually leading it. So that's 3 weeks after Clinton is exonerated by Comey. Strzok is leading an investigation into Russia and possible connections with the Trump campaign. That's on the 28th of July. Now on the 31st of July, 3 days after the Russia investigation began, Strzok wrote, "Damn, this feels momentous." The other one did too, but this was to ensure we didn't F things up. This one matters because it matters. And if you happen to not know how important it is, he went ahead and put matters in all caps in case you happen to not focus on the importance of why this matters. Now, her investigation was just to make sure they didn't F things up. This one, we're 3 days into it, Inspector General Horowitz. 3 days into an investigation, but this one really matters. I wonder what he meant by saying the purpose of the Clinton investigation was to make sure they didn't F things up. But the Russia investigation, nah, that one was different. That one really mattered. You know, it almost sounds, Inspector General Horowitz, like they were going through the motions with the Clinton investigation. But boy, they sure were excited about the Russia one. Then we get to August 6th. This is less than 10 days after the Russia investigation begins, and Page says, you are meant to protect the country from that menace. And then we get to August 8th, 2016. Less than 2 weeks after the Russia investigation even began, the lead FBI agent says he will stop Trump from becoming president. This is 2 weeks into an investigation, and he's already prejudged the outcome. And we're somehow supposed to believe that that bias was not outcome determinative. I can't think of anything more outcome determinative than my bias against this person I'm investigating with only 2 weeks' worth of investigating. I have already concluded he should not be the president of the United States. And then we get to August 15th. just over 2 weeks into the Russia investigation. Strzok says, I want to believe the path you threw out, that there's no way he gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy. Mr. Inspector General, that is 2 weeks into an investigation, and he is talking about taking out an insurance policy because he can't fathom the target of his investigation possibly becoming the president. So I want to go back to the no, he's not going to be president, we'll stop it. What do you think the it is in that phrase, we'll stop it?
Oh, I think it's clear from the context. We're going to stop him from becoming president.
That's what I thought, too. Now, I wonder who the we is in the we'll stop it. Who do you think the we is?
Well, I think that's probably subject to multiple interpretations.
We'll see if we can go through a couple of
them, or a broader group beyond that.
I mean, it's hard to fathom a definition of we that doesn't include him. So we know he's part of we. You could assume that the person he's talking with is FBI attorney who also happens to be working on the Russia investigation. She may be part of the we. But I wonder, Inspector General, did you find any other FBI agents or FBI attorneys who manifest any animus or bias against President Trump?
We did.
How many?
We found 3 additional FBI agents, as we detail in the report.
And were any of them working on the Russia investigation?
Sorry, let me just write 2 agents and 1 attorney.
2 other agents, 1 other attorney. Were they working on either the Russia investigation or the Mueller probe?
I believe 2 of the 3 were, but I'd have to just double check on that.
Okay. Now, Bob Mueller was named special counsel on May the 17th, 2017. 1 day later, Mr. Horowitz, 1 day later, Peter Strzok is back on his phone texting some more. For me, in this case, I personally have a sense of unfinished business. I unleashed it with the Clinton email investigation. Now I need to fix it and finish it. Fix what?
Well, there is outlined in the report what Mr. Strzok's explanation for.
Oh, I know what he says. I'm asking the guy who had a distinguished career in the Southern District of New York and had a distinguished career at the Department of Justice. Would you rather cross-examine Peter Strzok on that explanation, or would you rather direct the examination on that explanation?
Probably cross-examine.
That's what I thought. How about finish it? When he said, I unleashed it, now I need to fix it and finish it. What do you think he meant by finish it?
I think in the context of the emails that occurred in August and the prior August that you outlined, I think a reasonable explanation of it, or a reasonable inference of that, is that he believed he would use or potentially use his official authority to take action.
But this is 24 hours into him being put on the Mueller probe. There's no way he possibly could have prejudged the outcome of the investigation. Maybe he did. Maybe that's the outcome determinative bias that my Democrat friends have such a hard time finding. Inspector General Horowitz, if one of your investigators talked about Lisa Page and Peter Strzok the way they talked about Donald Trump, would you have left them on the IG investigation?
No.
Did you ever have an agent when you were a prosecutor with this level of bias?
As I've laid out here, I thought this was completely antithetical to the core values of the department and extremely serious.
Can you speak up, please?
I'm sorry.
I heard you, but you can say it where Mr. Nadler can hear you too.
My view of this was that this was extremely serious, completely antithetical to the core values. In my personal view, having been a prosecutor and worked with FBI agents, I can't imagine FBI agents suggesting even that they might use their powers to investigate, frankly, any candidate for any office.
Well, I can't either. And let me ask you this in conclusion. I think you've already, you laid out in your opening that Peter Strzok's obsession with Donald Trump and the Russia investigation may have led him to take his eyes off of the Wiener laptop, and in a notably ironic way, caused Jim Comey to be a little bit later in sending those letters to Congress. So that is one example of outcome determinative bias. But I got to ask you, you used to be in a courtroom. You were on the side of the United States, and you worked for the Department of Justice. If someone is prejudging the outcome of an investigation before it ends, and someone is prejudging the outcome of an investigation before it even begins, what is more textbook bias than prejudging this investigation before it's over and this one before it begins? I am struggling to find a better example of outcome determinative bias than that. So what am I missing?
Well, I think certainly with regard to the Russia investigation you mentioned, as you know, we are looking at that in an ongoing way. With regard to the Clinton email investigation, I think as we lay out here and go through it, we looked at text messages, emails, documents to try and assess whether the specific decisions that we were asked to look at and then the ultimate prosecutorial decision were impacted by Strzok, Page, and the others' views. And what we ended up finding, particularly as to the prosecutor's decision, was that was a decision they made exercising their discretion on their view of the policy, the law, and the facts as it was found. We've laid that out, and in our view, we didn't find or see evidence that the prosecutors were impacted by that bias. But as I mentioned in my opening statement, the idea here was to put out the facts for the public, members of Congress to see, and so that folks who want to take a look at those issues obviously can assess them themselves.
Well, my time is up. I hope one of my other colleagues will explore that, because the explanation I've heard is that the failure to prosecute was predicated upon their belief that there was not sufficient evidence of intent on her behalf. And I don't know where in the hell you would go to find better evidence of intent than interviewing the person who actually was doing the intending. And when you make up your mind that you're not going to charge someone, and you make up your mind that you need to not go in loaded for bear, and then you read the 302 and there's not a single damn question on intent, it is really hard for those of us who used to do this for a living to not conclude they'd made up their mind on intent before they even bothered to talk to the single best repository of intent evidence, which would be her. With that, I would
Mr. Chairman, may I make an...
I love Trey Gowdy. I know that was a long one, folks, but that's what we're up against. We now live in a banana republic. Has some people are more equal than others. I mean, that's just how it is, because they just know so much more for you. This is swamp creatures at its best. What I can say about this IG report is basically it is still a continual cover-up. What they've decided they're going to do is they're going to, you see, since there was no bias, they're going to train everybody in the FBI and give them courses in about having no bias. Since it didn't happen, let's go ahead and address it. I mean, just screwed up stuff. And I'll tell you what the answer is to it. The answer to it really doesn't have to do with Clinton. The answer has to do with Obama. You see, Obama's too black to fail. Ever. This stinks like him. He also knew about a lot of things, which unfortunately I don't have the time to go into right now, but he knew that she was illegally using a server and lied, as he's accustomed to do to the American people, that, oh, I heard about this one, came out in the news, just like you. Of course, he's emailing that server for a long time beforehand. But I am running late. I'm getting tired, and maybe I'll do this segment again next show as well. But I do want to thank you for joining us today. It's always a great pleasure and an honor to go ahead and talk to people out there. I wouldn't get any phone calls today, but that's sometimes how it goes. Let me go ahead and just wish everyone the best week coming up. Everything in life is possible. Fewer things are probable, but one thing's certain, and that's that you're alive. So go ahead out and live your life to its fullest, because tomorrow is promised to nobody. Take care. It's Michael Blum signing off. Have a wonderful week, and we'll speak to you next time around.